Alright, tier list time. This is PvP tier list, meaning 1v1, DB, I guess war, no fucking arena. Who cares about arena? When you run Rin P1 in arena and beat people with Shisui Susano, that's why arena's really balance of fun. Okay, anyways, starting from the bottom in no particular order, just drag them in. Yugito New Year, she can be a good P2, like a free to play. Mystery cooldown up, hits hard. She's not bad, but she's not great, so she's C tier. So the way that this is gonna work is like C tier is like pretty fucking hard to use. B is pretty obvious use. A is a pretty great use. S is an amazing use. Then Shisui sits alone at the top because of his fucking broken kit. So anyways, Zetsu nerfed to the fucking ground, almost impossible to use now. Tsunade swimsuit doesn't do anything, dude. She provides level 2 immunity on heal, but she heals random targets, so you never consistently get what you need. Toby New Year, he never really took off, right? Like, even after his buffs, he can't do anything. You can't put him anywhere. Shisui Kimono, he had his time to shine. He can't hang with the big boys. The free to play meta is way stronger than him now. I mean, you could make an argument for Sasuke Ronin to be B tier because he does give an extra standard to sword users, but is that enough to put him on a team? Probably not. I'd rather put Killer B New Year, even if it gives everyone, I don't know, whatever. Same with Sage. Sage Kabuto doesn't really do anything in this meta. We are not in a control meta. He's not clearing any control. He's better for a free to play meta actually. As a decent support, he probably could justify being B tier, but for pay to win meta, he's not. Rasa doesn't do shit. No cheating debuff on Chase is not worth a slot on your team. Obito Rage, yeah, he can't fight the pay to win meta or the free to play meta, and he's a P1. He's not a support. His place is arena for memes. Naruto Ronin, everybody's waiting for that BT. Maybe he'll get the thing like Shisui or the pain mechanic, and that's the only way he'll be viable because he gets controlled from everything. Minato swimsuit, you know, $500, $600 of hot garbage that never accomplished anything even after his buffs. Madara TTJ, like, he had his time to shine. He has a buff coming where he's going to do irremovable paralysis for 2 turns, I think it is, on his chase. And when that happens, he will definitely be a viable option. Taking chases away from your opponent on a unit that is unavoidable, that's strong. And I mean, he could be a P2 in this current meta because his chases hit so fucking hard. It's just that, I don't know, you could definitely run him then, but now no. Alright, Madara Trash Can, come on, he's not immune. The only thing he does that does any damage is his chase, his mysteries or whatever. He doesn't scale. He does have a bug to auto cast his mystery if you're on auto and have enough chakra to round 1 without the cooldown reduction. But that's not, I'm not taking that into account because it'll probably get fixed. And even if it never gets fixed, I mean, that just makes him a really fun blitz unit if you're stronger than your opponent. But come on. Kushina, come on, she can't fucking compete with anything. Neither can the Killer B. Next, Kushina can't either. Kushina Summer sucks ass. Karen, we're not. What are we healing? Who's hitting healed? And everything's immune, so her mystery does nothing. Mu, well, China had its time where it was afraid of clones. We never were afraid of clones, so Mu never mattered for us. EGF, he doesn't do anything. Kakashi Suzuno, he provides unmissable for Konoha. Mysteries, nope, no one cares. Itachi Kimono, maybe if his mystery was undodgeable, you could set up some you can't standard me bullshit with him, but because everything dodges it, that you can never give your opponent enough chakra for it to matter. It's a gimmick and it almost never works. Kakashi Summer's still good in like war, he still pops off if you ignore him. But overall, he's pretty overshadowed because for the same reason he pops off, everybody free to play running Naruto gets the same effect. Oasis addiction to making useless Hanatas. We have this bitch and she's trash. She doesn't do anything. I don't even understand why she exists. The same with this Hidan. He doesn't do fucking shit. And then hey, look, let's continue on the list of useless fucking ninja. Here's in Young, doesn't do anything. Crotchety Rene does nothing. Hashi Trash Can, he's getting buffs, and the buffs are pretty decent. He'll have like 20% combo rate per Konoha um, ninja on your team, and everything's fucking Konoha, so he can get his reset round 1 reliably. But he's not unmissable. But with this new Itachi coming out, we'll give him unmissable because he's a secret user, and he could maybe do some work with that. We'll see. I'm gonna give it a try. Um, Hashi Edo doesn't work in our meta at all. He's just not good. Black Setsu does nothing. Ai Kimono does nothing. Asuma Kimono does nothing. Anko Swimsuit does nothing. They're there because why not? Okay, B tier. B tier means they have a use, even if it's hard to use them. Zabuza Ronin can take away Shisui's standards for 2 turns, and when we had like the week or month before Itachi Edo BT came out, Zabuza Ronin was a viable counter to Shisui if you could get to round 2, and because they would have to choose between hitting your Shisui or hitting Zabuza, because losing standards for basically the rest of the fight because of the way that his stuff works is terrible, and they would lose because of that. So he actually was really good, but now we have Itachi Edo everywhere, and all he does is put this bitch to sleep for the rest of the fight the moment he sees him, and it's a wrap. So, thank you, Itachi Edo. You made the Shisui meta even more boring. Zabuza Edo, he if your opponent doesn't bring control, he can go fucking crazy and beat the shit out of you. Like there's people report winning against Shisui with him and other fucking meta teams, but he's a meme. Like if your opponent brings a terrible team and you basically bring a win more unit and you just get 300 standards off and kill them, they're an idiot. They fucked up. They weren't prepared to fight him, and they will be prepared next time because he's real easy to counter. I got Tobieto here because the barrier's nice. A barrier that provides, damage, good, and he's a decent unit. Sometimes you want to blitz. Sugetsu, same premise. He gives stats. I didn't put every barrier unit, but like any barrier unit can be decent, like B tier. You put it down, the barrier comes up, you get your stats while you need it until the barrier goes down, and odds are, you know, you got what you need out of them, and that makes them solidly useful. More useful than how the fuck do you use Hanada Chinese? You don't. The barrier unit that like not dies, but like if your P1 gets an attack off with the barrier unit up, it was more useful than Hanada Chinese's will ever have been in any fight you bring her in. How about that? Anyways, same reason for this Shisui. Again, I didn't bring everyone. Sasori Edo is pretty good. Consistent buffs and stuff like that, and he can come back every round and provide the scale. It's not bad. He's a decent support. The new Samui swimsuit's pretty much a meme. She counters Shisui because she gives him immunity, so he can't gain extra standards. Totally. Um, yeah, I mean, I put her there as a joke. Like, she's pretty useless. We don't have any hidden cloud that are a threat. Maybe one day she would make them pretty cool. Rin, Rin's Rin. Free to play meta. Rin will fuck you up. If you're relying on mystery damage and you can't kill her in the backline, yeah, she's gonna be a constant annoyance to you. So she's a solid B. Pain, yeah, you can't really use them. We're not in a control meta. It doesn't really matter. But again, think about a team like Pain that knew Itachi, and then the Conan Angel of God BT, which provides 20 chakra cost reduction on mystery, and it also buffs Katsuki members. And you have like a guaranteed 4 mysteries from your P1 and P2 going right at the enemy, and his mystery, despite being not prompt, is uninterruptible, and it starts a chase chain. So you could get a fear off on Shisui, for example. Just a thought. Definitely not running that. Nope. Um, this Pain, he buffs, and he's an okay buffer, so he exists. Barrier reasons. barrier reasons. I mean, his barrier is still extremely fucking strong. It's just you're never gonna see him used really. Like, but if you did, you might get countered. You might find yourself countered. Well, it would be hard. But with the ETR existing, he's gonna break the barrier on his own. But whatever. Madara Konoha, he's pretty good. Chakra battery, consistent buff, and then in addition to that, we have the same crit effect as Shisui. So again, let's say you don't want to run Shisui, you can run him and you reduce your opponent's crit. But yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, Madara GNW, great buff. Shields, not that they don't go away instantly. My boy Taisho is like Chakra battery, which can be incredibly good on certain teams. Kushina Xmas is she's pretty fucking good. Crits, just attack and crit scaling. She's just a solid scaler. Special K, consistent fucking debuffs reflect. She's good. Like you can run her in free to play meta mostly P2, P3, and your opponent has to think what the fuck to do because she exists, and that makes her good. Conan, she fell off when we haven't stopped using Akatsuki as much, but she still can be pretty good. Giving extra standards who you need her to. It depends. I think she's still solid. Kimmy, when he gets his BT, will be incredibly annoying in Blitz and better, but for now, he's just a consistent buff with cooldown increase, which, if you're stacking cooldown increase, you could stack someone's cooldown to the moon with him, which is always good. Kakazu, Revival's good. Revival's better in this meta because we see less Naruto's and we see more Madara ETRs in the free to play, so you could get away with reviving your backline. Ibiki, same concept. He'll control you, he scares you, whatever. This guy's like a shot in the fucking dark. He can buff you with like a massive ability to scale, but it's RNG, so I put him B tier just because maybe you like him. Maybe you put him P4 and you don't care if he dies, and you just go, well, my P4 never does anything anyway, so if he gets the scale on me, it might turn the tide, sure. Hanada Wedding's still pretty good. The buff she gives, and I think it's called Endure, is like damage percent reduction. It's really strong, and yeah, it's really strong. She can be a solid pick. It depends on who you're fighting. Here's Zanetto, gives all the buffs. He's awesome. Consistent, let's say. Hashi, he again, he gives like double buff. He gives if you have the BT, you get 30% nin for the rest of the fight. You can't get rid of it. And then the barrier's decent and chakra control cooldown up, he's annoying and he's good. Hashi New Year, control, chase up. He's always been a consistent support. Haku Ronin, he could have been really good. He buffs crit of sword users. He's okay. Like I said, he's a consistent buff. You can put him on your team and not feel bad about having him there. It's not a waste of a slot. He's like a good P4, I would say, depending on what you're trying to do. Guy Summer provides free chakra cost, and then that's always amazing. And the potential for an extra standard, and free chakra cost counters people fucking with your chakra cost, so he's gonna be good. Or it helps get Madara's mystery off round 1, stuff like that. Deidara Rene, okay, so his debuff is really fucking strong. It's just impossible. It's impossible to get it on anything. So he probably should be C tier, but his debuff is cool. I think, I don't know. He scales a lot, but you can't run him P1. He doesn't have unmissable. You can't run him. You could run him with I forget that fucking guy's name is. I didn't put him in the tier list. The seasonal that came out that resets his cooldown. So you can mystery round 1, and you'll still, because you'll miss, because everything has to dodge. It's whatever. Ramen Naruto, crit buff, extra standards, that's consistently good. I put the brothers on here in B tier because they have a very interesting kit. I think that they can, depending on if you could build a decent team, they could contend with the free-to-play meta on like a low spender, not wanting to run ETR or Naruto. I don't think it would be very hard for them to do well, but I think you could pull it off. I think they're, more consistent than Modern Trash Can. Killer B, gives a standard, gives the buff, good. Ashura, extra chases is fucking good. We're out of a dodge chase meta for the most part, so this would be more like pay to win meta because like there aren't a lot of free to plays with Ashura, but you could run like Shisui, Obito, Ashura, and then just try to chase spam your opponent down round 2 and hope that your Obito crits enough or something like that. It's a strat. There's a lot of RNG and even matchups because especially because you're both reducing each other's crit to 0, kind of. All right, yes. As much as I hate Tsunade, she has a place in this meta because so many really smart individuals, sorry, retards, run +2 standard on Shisui, and they just want to be countered so hard by guaranteeing where their Shisui is gonna go. You can run Tsunade, and she'll stand there and she'll take all the blows, and your team will be perfectly fucking fine. Or let's say you're facing a stronger opponent that's impatient. Um, she locks her cooldown to 0. You cannot use +2 mystery on her with Shisui. You would have to run the Y, which runs the risk of having a control fail to give irremovable acupuncture. So actually, what can happen is someone strong will wipe your whole team but her and blow their entire load, and you will have pressed none of your buttons. You'll wait till they're done, and then you'll revive your whole team. And because this is the Shisui meta, if you lock their Shisui and then they're either running +2, so they're running into your Tsunade, or they have bad luck and the Y standard just doesn't random who it needs to random, they could fucking lose. Shisui's terrifying. You can't just run trash into him. He scales out of control very quickly. And like, yeah. So she has a place. I don't use her. I fucking refuse. I hate this fucking unit. I will always be a Tsunade hater. It is what it is. And she'll get a BT one day and be immune for 10 turns. Watch. But we'll cry about that later. Um, Sasuke, Rene, Fear is good. It's a good counter to Shisui. Takes away standards. He's like, is RNG as it is for them to run into him. It still can happen. It's still good. Same reason for Sai swimsuits. The reality is in the 4 mil meta, our backlines are tankier, and our P1s can't just one-shot the backline. So what ends up happening is if you have a P4, P3 Sai, and he's completely ridiculous the way that Oasis designed him because he has no real counter, and which everybody saw when he came out broken, and anybody. So he comes out, he puts the barrier, and if the barrier goes away, the effect of getting dyed ink on you still stands. It's ridiculous. There's no counter. You cannot. If he's on the field, you now have 2 turns where hitting him gives you a chance to lose standards and chases for 2 turns. That's insane. Like, it's actually really strong. It's just really unlikely because it's a 40% chance, and if you're putting him at a lower position and your control is way higher, like, you're probably hitting the min chance of it actually fucking landing. And, like, whatever. Point is, it can still happen. I fought someone who was like my power. I was using Neji. I reset my Shisui. I Shisui'd his Shisui, and I got dyed inked, and I lost because of that. Because I lost 2 rounds of chases and fucking standards, and I couldn't recover. It is what it is. He can be that fucking impactful, and yeah, it was just fucking whatever. Obito G and W yeeting is easier now because we're not really in that much of a dodge meta. It's very viable to yeet a Shisui. You just have to time it better, and it's not. It's more reliable than it's ever been. It's not reliable, but it's more reliable and it's impactful. Nagato's there because he's insane with moderate ETR, and if you run, you could like easily run into people like that are running 2 of him, and they Nagato you twice, and you can no longer mystery for how many fucking rounds. Like, it's bad. Chakra cost is really good for dealing with overpowered ninjas. Mavoy, because yeah, she reduces the chakra cost. She's really good. Kurenai Kimono, I have an A tier because she has that cool effect where she makes you take only 1 damage, and a lot of times you might be running DB into a lot of Hirizens, and it's hard depending on the team you're running to deal with Hiruzen, especially because the game's a laggy piece of shit. And trying to time control on Hiruzen right as he comes up before the game gives you a millisecond of lag, and then he Hiruzens you anyways is really fucking hard. So instead, what you do is you just mystery your Shisui, and then he can only take 1 damage from Hiruzen. And most people don't know that because they're bad and they don't read the fucking kits, and they'll still fucking use up their shit and go, "What the fuck? Why do you only take 1?" Yeah. So she's good, especially in war. In war is where you get heroes and spammed a lot. Kisame, tracker control. Tracker control's still fucking good. Killer B, extra standards. He can give, Shisui 2 extra because he can use his mystery and blind. And then, if they're upping your chakra cost round 1 or round 2, you're giving yourself full chakra and them too. But he's a double-edged sword. But it's very viable. He's a very good support. Kashi Kimono's still good. Yeeting someone for 2 rounds is fucking insane, obviously. Yeah. Indra still is viable. You can anxiety a Shisui and have him nearly kill himself. Like 5 standards in or like 5 actions in, he'll be at near 50% health. And you could finish him off from there, I hope. Dan, okay, Dan's an interesting one. Like, why Dan? Well, Dan has a BT where he does 35. He makes your team do 35% extra to any non-Edo unit, and the vast majority of units listed here are not Edo, and yeah, 35% is a lot, and a lot of people stopped running 10-10 in the Shisui meta because you don't crit anyways, and if you run Orochimaru and him, I was having fun running Dan with that BT, Oro Ninja Assist, and then seeing how hard Hiruzen would hit. And my P4 Hiruzen was hitting 3 mils for 110k, and they have 119k HP. So I was nearly one-shotting them with my P4, which my P4 doesn't have refine stun. It doesn't even have ruin stun. I don't have I'm a 4 mil, but I'm not a fucking near 5 mil. Like my P4 has got the stats of like a 2 mils P1, probably even worse than that, or probably close to a 2 mils P1. So it would be like a 2 mil P1 here's then hitting a 3 mil P1. Yeah. Anyways, it's strong as fuck. And then, well, whatever. All right, S tier. These are amazing. Shin is annoying as fuck. We don't have, until Itachi comes out, a consistent way to clear buffs and debuffs, because almost every way that clears buffs and debuffs requires you to hit the enemy, except for like Han. Is Han Edo or is it regular Han? I don't remember. One of them shoots the fucking fart gas out and it'll clear. And I have my DB partner do that because I don't like running Shin. I think it's cheesy, but Shin's really good counter to Neji because that you can't target their Shisui if you have that team, and he provides crit, and you don't need his BT. His BT doesn't do fuck all for him. You don't need it. It's just like a little nice to haves. Orange GNW is still broken. He can, in the same way that Tsunade fucking baits out, what do I want to say, like bad positioning of people using +2, so does he. So you can have, depending on how stupid they position their Shisui, you can have a Shisui get 11 standards off on Minato and then reduce his defense by 8% every single fucking time he gets hit. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. He's still really good, and he's even better in the free-to-play meta. Like, a lot of people don't understand how to use him, but like anybody that thinks he's not viable is crazy, dude. He's insane. Round 1 he makes you take a significantly lower amount of damage, and then round 2 he buffs you the fuck up. So yeah, he's still great. Obito's still great too. You just have to run him with the fucking Ninseal passive, the guaranteed Ninseal when they hit him one, and that will reduce the opponent's Shisui's damage. I mean, he's not he's S. He's not God tier anymore, and he's not the greatest support, but he's a viable support. If you're running a like Hiruzen oriented team, his guaranteed damage from his mystery round 2 is like really strong. And like, you know what? Itachi Chinese might be enough to make him a viable P1 again, because you can just burst down the opponent's Shisui before anything fucking happens because of consistent damage over and over and over again. 2 Shisui mysteries, and into round 2 for the free Obito one, and then an Obito one after that, assuming you're faster, which might be an issue. But even if you don't, you get the free one off, and then you go from there, and you might be able to whittle him down. We'll see. It requires testing. All right, Neji obviously is broken. And he's broken for the rest of the fucking game for stuff we haven't even seen yet because he can reset any ninja in the game round 1, and that's insane. Enough said. And he gives himself fucking endure, and he gives 20 chakra, so he pays for himself to exist. And he hits your own person for damage, which has hilarious effects. Like it scales Obito, it gives himself the Shisui crit debuff. It's just hilarious. Naruto and Madara are here because they are the premium god tier free to play P1s, and you could still use them and pay to win. You could run a blitz Naruto team and hit an opponent's backline with mysteries against Shisui and kill their Shisui. You could. Naruto can kill Shisui if you run a good enough blitz team and you crit, which is kind of hard to do, but it can happen. Um, yeah. Well, like let's say you run Naruto, Dan, and Hiruzen, and you don't even crit the backline, but you hit it hard enough, and then you Hiruzen the Shisui, and he just fucking dies, and the motherfucker is like, well, I don't, whatever. Jiraiya's still broken. Jiraiya's too fucking strong, dude. You know, he gives initiative, which is insane. Like, you can beat a stronger opponent not running Jiraiya in the Shisui meta if you end up faster than him and you take their Shisui's mysteries away. That's how it works. Extra chase is fucking insane. Yeah, whatever. Enough said. Itachi, oh for fuck's sake, this unit is so annoying. The extra chakra cost counter Shisui if they don't have extra chakra costs on their team. Like a way to get more chakra is what I'm saying. He provides initiative when debuffs hit. Yeah, he's insane. He's completely fucking obnoxious and annoying, and he forces you to play a certain type of way. And the current like lazy meta team is Shisui, Itachi, Jiraiya. You know, and it works really well. And then Hiruzen, like I said, there's a lot. He can chunk the living fuck out of Shisui, and that's always going to be good against in a P1 dominant meta. I don't know if I forgot any ninjas, um, but yeah, there's a tier list of current state of the game. Agree or not? Whatevs. Bye bye.